in writing. Unfortunately, the system aids and abates this type of behavior by hiding behind the union. Most will get a slap on the hand, not even a written reprimand. Of course, whenever I put my colleagues in check, a war ensues. Many alienate me from the lunchroom table or fail to invite me to social events, even if it's at this building. Not that I care to hang out with the colleagues who complain during a meal, particularly since they eat and live well by taxpayers' dollars. We must find a way to get the key players, which are parents and students, to take charge of their own growth in academic health. They will need to buy into the educational system. With reference to the salaries, keep in mind the school system is working for you because they do get paid in full. I felt this was important to let you know. When the child is ridiculed at home, then again in school, the child becomes a character of that description. Careful how you speak to them, because for 6 to 8 hours a day, somebody else is doing the name calling. Not only will this include adult humiliation, bullying is still a major problem in our society. Pay attention to how your child is spoken to, particularly at a very young age. Reflecting on the many years I have stood and witness of the belittling, I kept notes on my clipboard for future reference. This was a venting clip, and it's called Barbarian with a Degree. It's a message to the title holders. You may have studied for many years, earning a degree, certificate, or PhD. You may have read many books to satisfy a test, stating you have knowledge to practice with the best. Little did you know, after studying for so long, your degree, certificate, or PhD is a restricted pass, marked wrong. Intellectual status is working the magic. You always walking around with a book in your hand, hence a barbarian with a single plan. Able to write a good script, never carry through. It's a known fact you don't even have a clue. Maybe you do. Either way, no respect to you. When the Almighty gives you knowledge, no one can question your leadership and power. You will be known as the head doctor, an attorney for the people, teacher or preacher. That is the difference between a barbarian with self-made power and a spiritual gift ordained from the highest tower. When time draws near, your degree, certificate, or PhD will not be your ticket to enter therein. It will be that time for you to reflect. What did you do during the protests? Racism, malpractice, civil unrest, educational failures, poverty, unfair advantage in the shares, marginalized fares. You stood in witness of the disparities. You remained silent, not to ruffle feathers. Did you even care? Did you develop a relationship with the community who paid your bills? Ink has been fading. Perpetrator, I say, what good is it in a frame just to glorify your name? Tis. What a shame. I'd like to share a little story with you entitled, A Teacher's Weight in Gold. Parents, I know you do feel some kind of way now that I have revealed the truths about our salaries. So just know you ain't talking to no broke teacher. In addition to financial perks to attend paid workshops, teachers in New York are highly educated in their practice. It's called pedagogy. Teachers are trained in management and safety techniques and teaching strategies. Many teachers are familiar with multimedia and know how to use those resources. The 21st century teachers are globally equipped to help your child be the next teacher, doctor, lawyer, engineer, builder, and designer. The list goes on and on. But are the fruits of their labor being magnified? What is their weight in gold? My mind reflects a story told to the city council that I like to share with you. And it begins like this. A call went out for proposals. The search was to find scholars to serve on a new design task to oversee an undisclosed project headed by CEOs from different entities. Candidates from all over the world responded in person to the call. The engineer laid out what looked to be a maze to the novice. After explaining the miniature town and its civil design benefits, the audience applauded and did counsel. Another presenter demonstrated the state-of-the-art medical facility. They could expand the filtration system of blood as well as develop an extensive healthy living network. It was closed with a visual Prezi PowerPoint. Next, several astute-looking candidates dressed in dark green approached the platform. Our investment firm will advise, market, and expand your financial portfolio. Once you have completed the selection and ready to begin the project, our brokers and financial advisors are prepared to sit on the board of trustees. We can maximize your investment. Here is the evidence. The brokers left several sample financial analysis charts with the council. Now, over the weeks, council was impressed by the many presentations. Now, the day would end with one final quest. An elderly lady took to the podium. She looked around, apparently overwhelmed at the host of candidates. After what seemed to be wasted minutes on the faces of council, the senior lady spoke in a soft voice. Council, may I call on the elders to allow me to speak? You may, responded the lady in kente apparel. The frail-looking lady resumed. You have seen demonstrations of geniuses, scholars, laymen, and other contenders. Am I correct? The council nodded in affirmation. Continuing, she said, they represent the work of the greatest mentor the world will ever know. Council and members of the consortium appeared baffled, puzzled. One abruptly spoke. What have you to show us? The time is winding up. Very appropriate question. You're looking at the one who is responsible for every one of your presenters. You're looking at the one who is able to give the world every category of human performance. She spread her arms up, swaying in the direction of the people, then proceeded. Council, the areas you see in the arts, science, and technology, human rights and adventure, they all come from me. Hackling and roars of laughter echoed the room. Another council member mocked, Are you a magician? The laughter continued. When the room settled for her to be heard, the only response was, Yes, you can say something like that. The chairperson stood up. We have no time for the shenanigans, and we did not call for tarot readers or magicians. The audience began to buzz, talking over the chairperson. The platinum-haired elderly lady nodded, speaking quietly. I am a teacher. What was that? The chairperson asked her to speak up. Not elevating her voice, she replied, it was my job to give you the scholars. I am that teacher. The magnitude of the presence rose from an insignificant, frail being to a giant among many. It was no surprise to the lady in kente. Now, the purpose of this little story was to explain how vitally important the role of a teacher is in our society. My personal motto reads, teaching is a gift. Many are called, few are chosen. You already know not every teacher holds the skills and quality needed in this esteemed profession. Now, this is a perfect segue, which will begin with the question, why are the children across urban states failing miserably in academics? Why? Some would say it's a different type of generations. It's a different type of generation. Others argue, in reference to urban children of color, particularly black, well, it's by design. They were never meant to be educated. Either belief, it's all relative. They are not making the grade. Rhetorical question, huh? Tell you something you don't know? Don't turn me off yet. Stay with me. We will get there. As I close that section, teaching is a gift. Many are called, few chosen. Where have you heard that? Matthew 20:16 in the Bible. So the last will be first and the first last. This next section is called Avoid the Do-Nothing Syndrome. Here's the gist of this situation. You can take the lesson to them, but you can't make them take it with them. You could bring the lesson to them, but can you really make them take it? Can you make them follow it up? Many parents and students carry this notion. All learning is done in the classroom. Keep that in mind. School is over after the students exit the building. Not true. After the school day ends, your enforcement begins. You should have a conversation. Ask something like, let me see what you did in school today. Or, what was the most exciting thing you did in school today? You can ask the teacher to send you goals and objectives for the week from their lesson plans. So, let's take a look at the do-nothing syndrome. This is the one who do not carry books and notebooks, or in this age, smartphones, notebooks, laptops, Kindles, etc. In the absence of technological devices, notebooks and books are left in lockers after the school day ends. That's fine if they continue the notes at home or the library or any place to reinforce what was taught in the classroom. In the least of the extended learning, the student should write notes to ask questions that clarify or they didn't quite understand from the lesson. But the do-nothing syndrome is seen when the student returns the next day to the same classroom with less than 50% of retention, which means remembering what was taught the previous day, even drawing a blank from the previous week. This offensive title, The 6-Hour Retarded Child, was reported in the early 80s. It describes the student who shows little promise or potential in the classroom, but was a real achiever outside of school.